Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com. I just finished a lovely conversation with Emily about this Nordica Santa Ana 98. And before we get into the fun part of the review and hear from Emily, I thought we would just take a really quick moment to do a summary of construction and shape. I think at this point, most skiers are familiar with both of those things, both the construction and the shape of the Santa Ana series. But for those that are unsure, or if you're wondering about something, we'll go through it right now. And if you don't need this information, you can just skip right to the conversation with Emily. So the Santa Ana collection is basically the women's version of the Nordica Enforcer skis. Both collections have really made a name for themselves over the years. I think what's really cool about the Santa Ana, especially this most recent version of the Santa Ana, is they've really given it kind of women's specific construction, although now that I say that, it's kind of interesting because then they took that women's specific construction and reapplied it to the Unleashed skis. But speaking to construction of these skis, it is a performance wood core with what Nordica calls terrain-specific metal. So what that describes is full width metal through the shovel of the ski, which is kind of unique in my opinion. And then that metal gets narrower through the central portion of the ski. It then goes full width underfoot and then does the same thing through the aft section or the tail of the ski here. So they're removing metal basically from these mid sections of both the tip and the tail of the ski. And it really does a good job kind of taking out material where you don't necessarily need it, which is getting the ski to be a little bit lighter. It is still one of the heavier heavier skis in this width range for women, but it's not tremendously heavy, and it's certainly lighter than men's Enforcers. There is some carbon fiber in these skis too, which Emily talks about quite a bit. I definitely think that helps a lot. So I like this new construction, or it's really not new because we've had it for a few years, but I like the most recent version of Santa Ana construction. Still a pretty stiff ski. You know, there's a lot of women's skis out there with a much softer flex pattern than this ski, and I think that's important to its performance, its nature. It's intended to be a pretty strong, powerful ski. And then speaking to the shape, just quickly, obviously we are 98 underfoot here, and I think people are familiar with the tip rocker profile of these Santa Ana or men's Enforcer skis. So pretty long tip rocker up here, which corresponds perfectly to very smooth early taper. So the idea is the further that you tip the ski on edge, the longer that your effective edge becomes, which makes a lot of sense. You know, if you're skiing a flatter base, the ski is going to be more agile and more apt to pivot. And then the higher your edge angle is, the better grip you get. So I think that's really cool. And then there's just less splay back here in the tail, but still a decent amount of tail rocker length. And this is something that came up between Emily and myself as well. So you'll hear us talk more about that. And then last thing I'll say is this 165 centimeter length, which I would venture a guess is the most popular length for women, has a 15.6 meter turn radius. So really nice turn radius in this ski. I think that turn radius is a lot of fun. I mean, given the length, it's kind of, you know, it's attached to its length, but I love the shape of these skis. I mean, I really feel it on the Enforcer side, not on the Santa Ana side, but that's been a big part of the success of Enforcers and Santa Anas. So I'll stop talking. I really want everyone just to hear from Emily mostly because it's her review and she's the one that spent all the time on the skis. So let us know if you have any shape or construction questions, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conversation. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Jeff.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. My face is cold from windburn this morning, but other than that, I'm doing good. How's life out in Aspen?
So far, so good. You know, just settling in. It's been kind of a slower start to winter, but we're about to get a storm this weekend. So I can't say it's been quite the same as back in Vermont, but we all have to be a little patient.
I just noticed your dog. Hi, Kona.
Yeah, she's back here too.
Yeah, and maybe she'll join at some point.
Yeah.
So anyways, I wanted to do this review with you. We've talked about the Santa Ana 98 before. We talked about it in comparisons. You talked about it in the ski test kind of roundup video. But you skied it a lot last year. And it was almost like what kind of inspired me to want to do this is there was so much footage of you skiing it that like it hasn't all been used. Some of it's been used and some people may have seen it before, but I wanted to make time for a longer conversation about them, partly so we could use that footage because a lot of it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it seemed like you developed some fondness for that ski as well.
I can definitely say I have. Yeah, it's one of my favorite, and in that width range specifically. There's some top contenders, but based on the construction and the shape and just my style of skiing, I definitely have a sweet spot for the ski.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to talk very much in this. So I'd really just love to hear your kind of general assessment and the things that you like about it. And as we often do, why don't we start with kind of on-piste groomer performance? And I'd suppose like a ski that's 98 underfoot, you're starting to get away from that being a focus, but it still is it's it's part of the Santa Ana collection with kind of more of a on-piste focused shape with the flatter tail. So I still think it's a important conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I can specifically remember the first time I got on it was the older Santa Ana 98. And, I remember it feeling really, really heavy and demanding.
Yep.
And I didn't find it was super easy to maneuver. It wasn't feeling really agile, and I didn't feel inspired to necessarily venture around the entire mountain. I felt like it just kind of wanted to go straight. And that said, that was a couple of years ago. And so my first time on the updated construction version of it, which I know it happened a few years ago. I can't remember exactly what season, maybe 2020.
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot on that one, but that sounds about right.
So it was pre whenever construction updates happened that I got on the one I just talked about. And then we were at, I believe it was Waterville,
Yep.
when I got on the ones that you have behind you right there. And, we skied mostly groomers that day. And I was shocked at the difference in how they felt. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I didn't know if it was just what we were skiing, the conditions that day. But I feel pretty strongly that just the shift away from the 2 sheets of metal, which I know is what differs between the men's and the women's as well. I think that shift away really put the ski in a different category for me. I think they have just a really strong on-piste performance as well as off-piste. And I know you've spent a lot of time on the men's version, so don't know if you can add to that at all, but the ski, I think, just blends so many attributes that I really, really enjoy. And so for on-piste performance, obviously, given the construction, it lends some serious precision and power on piste. I mean, the terrain-specific metal, the performance wood core, and then the carbon just really blend together to provide just this really dense, strong foundation. And I just remember, starting to go down this pitch at Waterville, and they definitely like to, go. They're a strong, powerful ski, definitely meant for an advanced expert level skier, but they're also really, that said, with the power and the stability, they also have a really nice level of maneuverability and energy. And I think that really speaks to that just moving to just one sheet of metal. for me anyway. And so I couldn't believe the level of edge grip and just stability underfoot. But what I don't always like is feeling incredibly locked in a
Yep.
turn.
Yep.
And what I found with this ski was just they really like to, like when you have the downhill ski weighted, both skis really like to go together in an arced turn, and they are really eager and willing to get up on edge. So the second you initiate a turn, they're right there with you, but when you want to get into your next turn, they have really nice energy at the finish of a turn.
Yes.
And
I think. Yep.
so I just found that I could really rip a turn and then, hop into my next one, and just they were really responsive. And for a strong, powerful ski like this, I was really impressed with the level of responsiveness and just that energy at the finish of the turn. I didn't feel like, versus the older one that I mentioned from the start, I felt more locked into that ski. And so I think they've done a really, really good job at finding this balance between, like I've been saying, that precision and power and strength, and then also just really nice, energetic maneuverability.
Yeah.
So
No, and I think that's always been, not always, but I feel like with the latest generation of enforcers and Santa Anas, like especially before the Unleashed skis came out,
mhm,
I like at times was like kind of jealous of Santa Ana construction compared to enforcer construction. Like enforcers have a lot of that same style or similar characteristics. Like they do have a
yeah,
lot of energy. They come across the fall line much more easily than most skis with that much metal. But no, I've always like watched people ski the Santa Anas and have been like that looks pretty sweet. And then when we got basically the same construction in the Unleashed 98, that really kind of like solidified it for me. So yeah, I feel like, I mean, obviously I've never skied that ski, but it certainly sounds to me like you nailed the assessment of powerful edge grip, but you still get a little bit more it's more of a dynamic skiing experience on a groomer than you might expect.
exactly. I will say that I definitely found myself having to like check my speed limit at times because
Yep.
they definitely like to just go with gravity. So I
Yeah,
just
it's like they're so composed that it's almost like too, yeah, it's like Bob had a similar reaction recently actually on a Mantra 102. He
mhm,
was like, that thing is insane. Like, that is so much fun. But like, I get going faster than I want to really easily because the ski is so composed. And you definitely,
exactly.
I think for most women, you would find a similar thing in that. But, it's, I don't know if you saw me looking down here, but it's a 15.6 meter turn radius in the
Mhm,
165. So I feel like that helps a ton.
totally.
And the fact that the ski is not like completely locked in, you can break free, whether so like in regards to speed control, you can get the ski to make a pretty short radius carve, which helps
Yes.
with speed control. You can also kind of break free from a turn and skid if you have to. So
Yeah, that combination is definitely worth noting. Is like in the written part, I focused on that. Just, if you do want to get into that longer arced turn, like they will get up on edge for you really nicely, and
yeah,
you can make really nice turns across the fall line. But then if you want to if you want to disengage from that and make, get into a quicker turn for whatever reason, they will respond. And that balance is so ideal, for me specifically, but for, a lot of advanced level female skiers who want that on-piste performance, but then want versatility, one, and then, just responsiveness and maneuverability.
yeah. No, they're. I mean, you're certainly not the first female skier to have a really good time on Santa Ana's. So
Yeah,
yeah, they've developed a pretty strong following, and I think for exactly that reason, it kind of strikes a nice balance.
it really does. Yeah.
Now, kind of speaking to off-piste, um, it's not the lightest ski in the world. You know,
It's not.
it's certainly lighter than an equivalent enforcer, but there's still some heft here. Um, I, for one, was quite impressed watching you ski these in kind of tricky bumps.
Yep.
So I'm curious what that was like and how much, how much credit do you give the ski? How much credit do you give your own skiing experience, your own ability level, and where's the balance there?
Yeah.
Is it a handful off piste? Is it easier than you'd expect? That's kind of what I'm curious about on your
Yeah.
take.
I think from our ski test conversations, we brought that up as well. And
Close
it's always
one.
it's always gonna happen in one video or another. Um, we kind of focused on this in one of the ski test videos, and I remember saying I was surprised at how they performed off piste because I did experience them on piste first, and so that was my first impression. And so given how they felt, just the level of power and strength and performance on piste, I was expecting them to be a handful off piste. And I was pleasantly surprised. And I do have a background in bumps, and so I have experience on a lot of different skis, and I know how to ski bumps relatively well, but it still just speaks to, I think, the overall approach to this ski and just the shift away from the two sheets of metal and then inviting in the shape. I mean, the amount of rocker in the shovel and the
Yeah.
just the overall approach to the shape and profile lends to off-piste performance amazingly.
Yeah, and there's even a decent amount in the tail.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of time with these skis we focus on the amount of tip rocker, and it is more noticeable because there's way more splay, but like length of tail rockers is pretty decent, which I feel like helps a ton in any of those situations because it's not a punishingly stiff or flat tail.
right. Yeah, and that it also helps a lot with, like I was talking about, the energy at the end of a turn. It really just gives you a nice level of like pop and liveliness from the tail not being fully straight. And
Sure.
then but you're also not working with, the unleashed shape. You're not going, it's not like twin tip. So you do have
Right.
that on piece precision and control from the tail, but then you go into the bumps and you do have the ability to release from your turns and have more maneuverability. So I think you brought it up too, speaking to the off-piste performance. I think I benefit a lot from the level of stiffness and stability on landings. So,
Yep.
they were really responsive when I wanted to, transfer from edge to edge and go through the bumps and just the off-piste terrain. And then when I would, go off of something and land, just really, really steady and stable underfoot.
Yep. Yeah. So not
Um,
not the lightest, not the snappiest off-piste ski, but
no,
its strength provides a benefit that some skis maybe don't have.
yeah, absolutely. And that said, you know, if you're not an advanced to expert level skier who has the skills to access it's the sweet spot with these skis, like you're going to get punished. And what I mean by that is that when you are skiing off piste, you definitely have to be in a more forward stance, in a more
Totally.
aggressive stance. And once you find that spot, you can reap the benefits majorly. But if you're two back seat, you're gonna get you're gonna get punished.
Yeah.
And I think
I
it's
think
worth
you just
noting, it's
yeah. I think it just like it can turn into a very fatiguing ski because of the
yes.
weight. Um and it is, it's not a soft flexing ski. And it's
Yeah.
98 underfoot. So you add up all those things and like that can be a lot of ski for say an intermediate. And I think there are a lot of better choices out there for an intermediate kind of shopping in that width range. Now, final question. you skied them here in Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
You skied them in New Hampshire as well. You've skied them in multiple states, so
I
that's
sure
fun.
have.
Now that you're out there in Aspen, how do you feel like it would translate out there?
I think they would be perfect, honestly.
Yeah, it's
No, I think,
almost like it's better out there.
yeah, I think the narrower version
Yeah,
would be a great option for a daily driver for someone like myself on the East Coast.
yeah,
98 underfoot, you know, that can be a fine width for every day for some people, but just given the overall demeanor of the ski, it might just be a little much depending on conditions.
totally.
And you know, a little bit narrower might be nice, but out here I think just wider terrain and a little bit more snow, I think that width and the overall shape and just build would be a great option for just everyday skiing out here, because you are
That's
just kind of transitioning from different types of terrain a lot, and they are just like so willing and ready to tackle anything is what I really found from them.
yeah, and it's also like my mind kind of goes to the situation of like, you talking off-piste here in the east, like you were able to do it just fine on that ski, but then we brought up that it could be fatiguing for some skiers, and I feel like out west there are less situations where it could be fatiguing because you generally have more room to just like let it run to get out of a situation rather than like have to make a really quick adjustment and really quick movement. So I feel like it almost like if you live out west or if you ski somewhere with more open terrain, it almost opens up the different types of skiers who could ski
Yeah,
it.
totally. The possibilities. Yeah, because I mean, snowpack or not, it's like the tighter terrain,
Totally.
you are gonna have to work a little bit harder to get them to respond, despite how responsive they are given the build. But I totally agree that you can open them up and just let them run a little bit more with wider terrain.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Emily.
Yeah. This was fun and different.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I haven't done a Microsoft Teams ski review since COVID, I don't think. So,
Well,
since
it's the
peak
new,
COVID. Somebody did
yeah.
just cancel a meeting today because they have COVID. So I guess COVID's
Oh
still a
yeah.
thing. But
Oh, it is.
anyways, we don't need to dwell on that.
No,
Um,
but it works. We can still talk about skis and yeah, not be standing side by side, but hey.
yep. So we can't talk about them yet, but I'm sending you a ski that I think will be
Mm-hmm.
really interesting for you to try.
Yep.
Um, and it'll be an interesting follow-up to this conversation. In the meantime, we have I think we have every length of Santa Ana 98 in stock. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're curious about the ski, let us know if you have any questions. Although Emily is out west in Aspen, if you have a question for Emily, just put that in the comment and I'll make sure that Emily gets it. And Emily, do you have any last thoughts?
Pray for snow.
Sure.
All
Yeah, we're
over.
getting snow right now. It's snowing right now.
Yay.
So
No, but I think that for any advanced to expert level skier who wants just a free ride oriented all mountain ski with just incredible poise and precision and liveliness, like that's the ski. So
sweet.
any more questions about performance, I'm here and ready to up the ante of the ski because I just love it.
Okay. Sounds good. Let us know if you have any questions and we'll talk to everybody soon. Emily, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.